All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. This one is another amazing student interview with one of these students in our six-figure marketing consultant program. Look, you might see these interviews as just a really fancy plug for the program, but even if you're not wanting to invest in a program right now, you're not wanting paid help, these interviews are with real successful agency owners that have been able to grow their business the right way and make it sustainable while serving clients, getting great results, building their reputations in a positive direction. And that's what every entrepreneur should be focused on, is better systems and processes that allow them to scale their business, their reputation over the long haul. And even if you're not ready to invest, no worries. Check out our playlist down below. We've got every single one of the student interviews. You can check them out with people that have gone through our program. But Anton, who we are interviewing today, is a brilliant student who joined us at about $10,000 a month. And I wanted to bring him on because he was already at 10 grand a month with his agency, and we got him to 25 grand a month in 2 months. So we 2.5x'd his operation in 2 months. And this video is for those people who are already doing pretty well and are wondering what's that next step they have to take. Why haven't they been able to break through that maybe six-figure yearly gap, that barrier that a lot of people seem to get stuck at? And it comes down to a couple things, a couple key things that you're going to learn from Anton in this interview. And I ask him some really hard questions that hopefully bring you a bit more clarity on how you can break through that next level in your agency if you're already doing pretty well, which actually happens to be a good chunk of the students that we bring on. Now, our program does work really well for beginners. We just brought on one today, one yesterday, two the day before. Like, beginners are very common for us. But those who are already established, our program can just take you to that next level due to a few of the key things that we just teach very differently. And you're going to learn what those things are in this interview. So thank you so much, Anton, for giving us your time. I'm excited for this interview. He's one of my personal favorite students. Just getting to watch him go from 10 to 25 in less than 2 months honestly opened my eyes to what our program is capable of doing for those already established agency owners. So without further ado, let's get right into the interview. Yeah, welcome to the channel, Anton. Welcome, Anton. What's up, brother?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing great, man. Doing really good. Nice new setup. Look good in the glasses. I haven't seen you in glasses before. It's pretty cool. Yeah. Good to have you on the channel, man. Really, really good to have you here.
Glad to be here. Yeah. I actually watched your videos a long time ago already. So it's kind of cool to be a part of the channel now.
Yeah. Dude, it's always cool. I've been on the receiving end of this before. So, I've invested in a lot of courses and masterminds and stuff like that. And it's always a weird feeling. It can be surreal if you think about it too much. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
cool to have you. It's cool to have you. So for those of you who don't know, obviously I record a separate intro, but Anton has done incredibly well with our program. I think he's at 25,000. Are you guys still looking at 25, maybe a $30,000 run rate? What'd you wrap up last month at?
So last month, like in USD, like
Yeah,
just try under 25,000 USD. And this month, well, we'll see. I'm quite confident that we'll be around similar mark again, but
that's awesome.
can't say that for sure yet.
Yeah, it's a sway for sure. And Anton, you guys joined. I say you guys because I think I'll mention this in the intro, but it's a business partner setup. So it's not just Anton. So
Yeah.
your partner, I forget the name of your partner, but you guys have been going in this. How long have you been running your agency for?
Yeah, so his name is Nisse.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a Swedish name, not exactly sure.
Mm-hmm.
But we've like, I think it was like New Year's Eve or something, 2018. So like 2.5 years ago, where we like decided to go into business together. It was just like he was thinking about it, I was thinking about it. We randomly spoke about it when we met up with other people. So that's when we decided to like do business together. We just didn't know that it would eventually be an agency.
Yeah.
So it was like a 1 year process basically to get to the point where we said, okay, let's start the agency. And the agency has basically been going since beginning of 2019.
That's awesome. And Anton's a little bit different of a success story than we typically interview on the channel because he came in. When did you guys come in? You guys joined our program at like 8 to 10,000 already, right?
Yeah, like more like we were like above 10,000 already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you guys have been capped there for a while, and we're really just looking on how to break out of that. Yeah. So it's very different than a typical interview. So, and that's why I reached out to you, man, is because it's very different. Most people are like, oh, how do I go from scratch to where you were? But you were like, how do I go from 10? How do I break that, next step? And we helped you narrow in some stuff. So sort of in your own words, explain really what took you beyond that level, and what were really the things keeping you from scaling that we were able to work through for you.
Yeah. So, I mean, the main thing that kept me back, kept us back, both of us, my business partner and I, was just pure like mental related stuff. So, and we knew that before joining the program. So we came into this program specifically with that in mind. It was just, we felt like we basically knew everything business related, every like business tactic, strategy that should get us beyond where we were stuck, but it just didn't work out. So like after months and months of like being stuck there and trying to break through, but not being able to break through, we like realized that it's all like, it has to be like mindset related. And then we just found, like, we realized that we were lacking in a lot of things when it came to our mindset.
You mind diving deeper into that? So what specific things do you feel like were holding you guys back? Because this is such a common thing. Like I sound like a broken freaking record on these interviews at this point. Every single one, I feel like all we talk about is this. And it's just that this is all it is. So, and it's different for everybody, but just explain like what were the false beliefs you guys had to work through? Like what were the things that you guys thought were happening that actually weren't, that you were able to break through? Like what would?
Sure. So, so I can mainly only speak for myself. So I'm not going to dive into like what my business partner was like having issues with, because like he could be talking about that much better than I could. So I'm just going to talk about my experience. And like there were a couple of things, but the main ones were like 2019 was like just like working as hard as we could, like grinding as much as we could. We were like working like 80 to 100 hours a week, nonstop, no hour off, getting up early, working until late. And like we thought basically going into this, like we just have to work really hard. And what ended up happening, like working hard is not a bad thing, but it comes down to like how we are actually spending our time. So we were eventually just like trying to work, not to like make any progress. So like actually realizing that it's not about the work itself was one really big thing. And then another thing is just like, for me personally, really like fear, like financial fear. Like even though we were doing well, I still was like stuck in a like broken mindset basically. And we did a couple of things last year that didn't really help with this broken mindset. So for example, last year, 2019, like the first 8 to 10 months were really slow. And then we started picking up, getting to the like 6-figure level, basically towards the end of the year. So the entire year was about like 50K euro. And like we didn't pay ourselves like a single euro of that money in the entire year, because we were like thinking like we like have to like stay broke, work really hard, and like we're not allowed to enjoy anything we built.
Really, like sorry to interrupt you, but it really was like the main thing is just like you guys almost wanted it to be hard on some level. Like there was some idea that it was supposed to be hard.
yeah, that really resonates with both of us, I think. I mean, I'm talking my business partner and I. It's like we felt like if it wasn't like it had to be hard, like that basically brings it down to the exact issue. Like we wanted or we thought it had to be hard, so it was hard.
Mm.
It comes
Yeah.
all down to like your expectations
Yeah.
and how you view reality.
Yeah. Dude, I'm telling you, man, it really is like the things that, like, the assumptions that you have when moving into a new field will be proven right because of confirmation bias. You
Yeah,
know, and for those of you who haven't heard confirmation bias, that phrase, it's basically like whatever you believe, you will find proof of that, which will reinforce your belief. You're always looking for proof of what you think is true inherently. So you have to question the preconceptions, the pre-made assumptions that you're coming into running an agency with, so that you can operate
yeah,
clean. Yeah.
yeah. And that's like the first thing that I did when I like went through your program. Like I skipped a lot of stuff because I didn't think it was like really applicable to me at that point. I was like mainly looking for all the mindset stuff. And just like I, I figured out like a ton of limiting beliefs that I had. Um, I, I read the books that you recommend in the program. Um, I actually read them like multiple times and like just figuring out a ton of limiting beliefs that we had. And we figured out like pages filled with limiting beliefs so far. And we are like, we know that there are still like a lot of limiting beliefs that we have that we haven't discovered yet, but
Yep.
that already has already made a big shift for us. And I've like, the first thing I did after that was like writing out affirmations and everything to like help myself move beyond these limiting beliefs and like break free of them.
Mm. Dude, it's so cool you say that. My first $10,000 month was a month where I stopped accepting the idea that there's technical issues in my business. Literally that month. That's how quickly things can change. Like when you accept responsibility and you accept the fact that like it's probably all just in your head, that's when it gets really easy, you know? And it sounds so out there, maybe to a beginner, like what on earth are you just talking about? Like, how did they get clients? Like, just show me the cold call script or whatever. But like, it's just there's more going on. There's just more going on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and like you mentioned the beginners, and like I remember, like I don't know, like me watching a Sam Ovens video or something, like
Mhm.
starting out, um, and I was like, yeah, like sure, like I know mindset is important, and like I get that, but like I didn't actually get that back then.
Mm. Mm. It doesn't become real until you're on this side of it, I feel like.
Yeah,
Now, I really do genuinely feel like the only thing that is holding me back from like $200,000-$300,000 monthly with my business is like my assumptions that I'm making about myself. Like I'm assuming that this is where I'm supposed to be, but like, why? You know? Yeah.
yeah,
It's good.
yeah. Why?
Good. Yeah. Why here? So cool. But I think it'd be good just to, for a moment, dive into the technical. Like, who do you guys serve? What are your clients? What are the
Mhm.
specific retainers you guys have? What's the makeup of your agency? I think just give us a lay of the land so people have a
Yeah,
good idea
yeah.
of the technical.
Yeah, so both my business partner and I, we are like different personalities basically. We both focus on like separate parts of the agency.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have done sales in the past, but like he is like the primary salesperson in our agency. That's what he does most of the time, and I handle like everything else from like service delivery. I talk with the team, making sure that the projects move forward, and I make sure that like we run ads for our own agency,
Mm.
and I build like the landing page, the funnel for our agency. I run the ads for our agency, stuff like that. So that's basically the setup. We have at the moment we have a full-time person at our agency working like in the service delivery side of things,
Nice.
and we basically we don't really have a really specific niche yet. Like I
Mm.
know that we will get there, but I view it much more as a process to get there, because we can talk about that in a moment, but like niching down too soon is, I think, a big issue that we had that kept us stuck last year for like 8 to 10 months. We can go into that in a bit, but like our niche is a bit more broad, so we specialize in like performance marketing for like quality lead generation. So like building out funnels for qualified lead generation, not just like any lead generation, but like qualified lead generation, and doing lead generation, whether that's like high ticket offers like B2B, or just offers B2C that need a lot of explanation. And so that's like kind of our niche at the moment. Yeah.
Wow. That's solid. Yeah, it does seem like, that's interesting that you say you don't necessarily have a niche, but I think one thing that gives you an advantage is that you do in a way have a niche. It's not
for sure.
It's not specific.
It's just not super specific. Like that's what I mean. Like other people talk about like, oh, I'm serving like very specific type of person, and like we don't yet. Like we eventually will narrow down, but at the moment it's really working well for us, and we're just like slowly narrowing it down and slowly improving. Like we don't want to make too big of a jump while it's clearly working.
Right. Like I was watching a interview with the founder of Salesforce. I don't know if you're familiar with Salesforce.
Yeah.
And he was saying something very similar, where he was like, you know, and it's got me thinking about my business actually. He said something like, you know, the interviewer was like, all right, so who's your target customer? And he's like, whoever wants our product. It's like, that's our target customer. And he's like, well, shouldn't you have like a good idea of who you're going after? Like, well, we've just got a really good service, and it translates really well. And so I think your guys' leverage is less that you can speak to the pain points of a niche or whatever, and it's more that you've just got a really banging service, and a lot of people need it. So in a way, you do have a niche, but your niche is the desire for your service. Not a specific industry, a specific business model. It's business model industries that could benefit off of high quality.
And there are different types of niches, like different ways of defining a niche. So like most of the people like talking just like niche in terms of a specific industry or a specific type of business, but like there are different ways to like define a niche. You can also define it just like by the service you provide. Like your niche could basically be just like Facebook ads, generally speaking.
Yep. Right. It could be like geographic, it could be demographic, it could be problem based, it could be stage that their company's in based. There's all kinds of ways to define a niche for sure. I do think the great point is that a lot of the SMMA like influencers right now, what they'll do is to be like, hey, like chiropractors, that's a niche, or like gyms, that's a niche. But like you just got to be able to read between the lines a little bit further and really think about how businesses work holistically, so that you can come up with a service like what Anton and his business partner have created, and just kind of break the bounds a little bit. So yeah, it's interesting, Anton. I wonder if picking a niche is your next step. I'm not convinced that it is. I think your next step is to build a back.
Slow process.
Slow process, though. It is a slow process. Well, sweet. What are the next steps for you guys? Like you guys just got 5,000. So is there anything in the pipe for you that you feel like would take you to that next level?
Well, it's all a process. So it's not like one thing and the next day we're like at double that. Right. So one thing that we've really been lacking for quite some time is like a great service delivery system. So in the past, it's basically just been me with a little bit of help of my business partner, and then sometimes a little bit of help of like different freelancers. Like that's kind of messy and very evolved around me. So like for the last month, I've been training someone, brought him on full time to our agency, and like starting this month, started on Monday actually. He's now joining me basically. I started to give him a couple of more of the easier projects to work on. Like he's now building out funnels like I trained him on how to do everything. And like, he's really, really good at it already. And like, that's one thing that I'm trying to like really nail down, like have a smooth, streamlined service delivery process that might need my input from time to time, but is not entirely evolved around me. Because like, if I get a migraine for like a day, and like there's stuff that needs to be done, just sucks.
Yep.
Yeah,
Right.
so that's one thing. Then the other thing is we actually have a lot of traffic to our website based on like the ads that we run, and like just like we've worked with a lot of clients in the past 1.5 years, and just like by word of mouth and stuff. So it's not like we get like tens of thousands of visitors every day, but like we get a decent amount of traffic. But our website is like, I don't know, like it's absolutely horrible at the moment. So that's something that I'm finishing up at this week, setting up the website just to like everyone that sees the ad doesn't click on it right away. But then like I see in the stats that a lot of people are actually like Googling ourselves and then coming to the website. But from the website at the moment, there's no way to get in touch with us. So that's like something that I'm trying to fix at the moment.
There's not even like a book me page or anything on there?
No, it's like at the bottom it says like, if you're interested, send us an email. But like we don't even state the email address. So it's just,
Wow.
I don't know, like
Yeah, that'll
it's really crappy.
for you guys. Yeah, I just put a little scheduler on there, like a schedule once in bed or something.
Yeah, no, it's just like a landing page website, but it's almost done. Our team member is just finishing up the copy.
There you go.
Like he's really good at copy, and he's just giving it a fine tweaking, and then tomorrow it should be up. But like other than that, it's just nailing down the service delivery process. For my business partner, it's nailing down the sales process, like getting better at the sales process, looking at things to improve the sales process, to improve the sales calls. And then just like getting more and more leads, improving the lead quality for ourselves. So that's just like these little variables that you can like tweak that will make an impact, and then just like make a few changes, see if they're good. If they're good, we keep them. If they're not, we'll throw them away and do something else, and just like slowly building like step by step, stone by stone, to like the next milestones.
Yeah. I think you have the right mentality too there. You know, there are no big leaps. There are no quantum leaps. It's just slowly but surely building momentum in the right direction, and, you know, knowing what moves the needle and focusing on that. It's almost like the, what's that? The 80-20 rule, Pareto principle. Really just, I think that's one of the things that you and your business partner had to overcome when you joined us, was just, you were just doing everything. And I think I told you something like, dude, just like narrow it in. Just like narrow it way in. I guarantee you guys are working too much on too little.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, sweet, man. I mean, what's your advice as it is now, like to somebody? Because we won't have that many people watching at like, you know, $6,000, $7,000, $9,000, $10,000 a month with their business. But what's your advice to somebody at that point who's looking to scale? I guess a better question would be, what would be the advice you would give yourself at that stage if you could reach back and tell them something?
Yeah, if I could reach back to myself like 6 months, 7 months ago, I would just like I would like to myself, I would just like hand myself like a copy of Psycho-Cybernetics, say, read that, and like that's like for myself, that would probably be enough to like get out of that like plateau. Like for me personally, like maybe other people are stuck for different reasons at that level, but like for me, that it's just like purely mindset related, and that book was just gold.
Yeah, It's good stuff, dude. It's good stuff. It's what we built the mindset training and around for our program.
Yeah.
That book, some books on like habit building, some books on like money and money mindset, and then like another book called Reality Transurfing I'm going through right now. I don't know if you know that
Yeah,
book.
actually just picked up a copy
Dude, you
of
have it
that.
here. Yeah,
Yeah,
there you go.
I actually have the first two. I ordered the first two books.
Nice.
They're like 4 or 5 books, not sure. Um, and yeah, they actually arrived like just a few hours ago in the mail. So I'm
Yeah,
really excited to read it.
it's awesome. I'll be going through it about the same time that you're going through it. Actually, I've skimmed it, and I love the principles, but I'm going through
Yeah,
it.
I went through the table of contents so far. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's really like this idea of the more meaning you attach to something, the harder it becomes for you to do that thing.
Yeah.
It's really cool. Like just
Yeah. And it's,
the idea of letting go.
mhm. Yeah. Yeah. And like, yeah, totally agree with that. Yeah. Yeah. That's one of the things that basically held us back because we were like too attached to like
Yeah.
some things. Like we were too attached to like we were thinking, I think, like I believe we were thinking more about like how can we get out of this state than actually doing things to get us out of like that level.
You were thinking so much that you didn't give yourself time to do.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, it's interesting. It is interesting how the brain does these things. Um, but cool, man. Sort of, we'll kind of start to wrap up here a little bit. I think this has been a really great interview. Some other questions for you that I know people are going to ask is,
Yeah.
though you took that leap from 10 to 25,000 with us, how'd you take that leap from 0 to 10? And what were some of the things that you would speak to somebody at that 0 level? Like, again, if you could go back to yourself at 0, what would you tell yourself at 0?
So I think like the two biggest things that I wish that I knew back then, that would have saved me like over a year of time and struggle would be for one like like don't compare yourself to like others just because like someone else has done or has had success in a short amount of time, like that has nothing to do with like what like you're capable of, just because like you didn't go from like 0 to 10K in like a month or something. Like other like you're not someone else, like they might have done something else in the past already that set them up really well. Who knows? Like don't compare yourself to others. Like
Yeah.
that's a big thing. Like I was always wondering like if he did this and that, like how come that didn't I'm not able to do that. Like
Yeah.
that's the wrong way to look at things. Like just compare yourself to like who are you at the moment, where do you want to go, and like how to like move toward your future self, like
Mm,
how to become better every day. So that's like one thing that I wish that I really understood back then.
mm,
And then the other thing, like don't overthink stuff. Like I'm a person that really likes to overthink stuff. So like I have an aura ring, and like up until a few months ago, literally like the average time to fall asleep was above 2 hours for me
wow, I didn't know
because
that.
I was like thinking so much, and that like translates into everything else that I did. Like when I was thinking about doing something, I spent way too long thinking about it, and once I started doing it, I still thought about it and like questioned everything. Like just like if you wonder about doing something, make a decision, base that decision on like facts or gut feeling, whatever. Like make a decision, and once you made the decision, just go with it, put in the action, like just go with it and correct on the way. It's like not sure if that was in psycho-cybernetics, but it talks about this like interceptor missile
Yep.
that like it just like starts and then corrects on the way. So it tries to hit the target, but it doesn't calculate everything at the beginning. It just shoots off and then corrects every nanosecond a bit
Yes.
to hit the target.
Yes. It just gets going. It's what's it? It's a cybernetic mechanism. It's one that is it's always in motion, and it's adjusting based on feedback. Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of being static. So you'd think the smart thing to do is to take time and think. And there's this quote that I used to internalize that I looked back and realized did more damage than anything. And it's applicable in some areas, but unapplicable in others. It's Abraham Lincoln, and he's like, if you give me 24 hours to cut down a tree, I'll spend 23 sharpening my axe. And I used to be like, I'm just sharpening my axe. I'm just sharpening my axe.
Yeah,
but I wasn't doing anything. I was doing nothing. So unless you have a measurable way of knowing that you're sharpening your axe, then don't waste time.
Yeah.
Start
and like the thing that I wish that I understood back then is not only what I just mentioned, but it's also like you don't need to make the perfect decision.
Yeah.
Like just make a decision. Don't overcomplicate things. Just make a decision, even if it's not the best decision. Just making this first decision and then going with it and correcting on the way is like far better than trying to get to the perfect decision right away.
Dude, that's huge. And especially with how openly, people in this industry or in any business industry, like you could study their decisions and what they've done and what their website looks like and what types of clients they take on and what their case study funnel looks like. And it's just like, there's just so much to compare to. So you have to stop comparing in a negative way and start taking notes and applying what applies to you based on what they're doing. Instead of comparing, take notes and apply what they're doing, and see if it works. Yeah. No, I was right there with you, dude. That was a huge thing for me too. It was a huge freaking thing for me. Comparison and like perfectionism. Yeah. I learned the phrase of like, there's this concept, I'm sure you've heard it, like take massive action. Instead of that, take massive imperfect action. Just move.
Yeah.
Just go.
Yeah.
It was very healthy for me to hear that, I think.
Yeah. And I remember this, not exactly sure what I messaged you, but I messaged you with some question. And you just said like very simple, like just like don't compare yourself to others, just unfollow everyone. I literally like that moment, like my following count on Instagram, like me following someone else went down to like just three people. And like the same with YouTube, like I was following like hundreds of channels. And like constantly like this person is like talking about his success. This person is talking about his success and so forth. And like unsubscribing a lot of channels. Don't worry, I'm still subscribed to your channel, but like just like a handful of channels. And like just stop comparing myself to others. Yeah.
Dude, it's been huge. It's been huge for me. Like I'm actually pulling up my Instagram right now. Like I've done the exact same thing. Let me pull this up. I'm at following zero people. I don't care. I literally don't care. Do not care about your life or your business. I have to care about my life and my business. It's been really healthy. It's really good. It's very freeing. But cool, man.
Yeah.
I think we'll wrap up there. This has been a phenomenal interview. Thanks for your time, Anton. It's always a pleasure. Here for you if you need anything. Is there anything you want to end off with? Any point that you were kind of hoping to make when you were coming on here, or any question that we didn't dive deep enough into, or do you think?
Well, just like one last thing regarding like the niche. I wanted to mention like we were actually like struggling for like 8 to 10 months, like trying to like be in the gym niche. Like that's like we just picked a niche, like gyms, and like we tried, we thought we did the right thing by sticking to that niche.
Yep.
But like looking back, like we were just like forcing ourselves to that niche way too much. Like we let down, like now looking back, we had a lot of opportunities, like just getting out there, getting experience that we missed because we were like too narrowed down. And I think like I see a lot of beginners struggle with a similar thing. Like they pick a niche, they like don't see any success. They either stick to that and keep don't seeing any success, or they like hop between niches and also don't see any success. And like it's not the niche that is like keeping you back. It's like not the niche, like it's not the problem of the niche. Like it's just like your own, like it's your, like the problem lies within you. And like one thing that had us, like after 8 to 10 months of like struggling in like one niche, like we did have a few clients, but like not many, and we didn't really grow, was just to like say, okay, let's open our niche up. Like we just started with like any performance marketing. Now we're like performance marketing, mainly like qualified lead generation. But like once we did that, we started to see a lot more opportunities that we could take and get experience. Because I think at the beginning, the most important thing is to just get experience. Like no matter what the niche, like at the beginning, if you have no clue what you're doing, you just need to get some experience. Like you can niche down later, but like if you have no idea what you're doing, most important thing is get experience. And like get experience at any like way possible. Doesn't need to be like just focused on one niche at the beginning. Yeah, just get experience.
That's really good. That's really good. That's a great way to end the interview. Very good input. Thanks again for your time, Anton. It's been a pleasure. Yeah. And if you guys are in the program, you can reach out to Anton. You can find him in our Facebook group. Otherwise, be sure to check out the other student interviews. Plenty of good stuff there. And thanks once again, man. Speak soon.
Speak soon. Bye-bye.